race for glory at the Ninja Warrior Challenge, or battle for honor at the Viking Invasion. Plus, enjoy classic favorites like live armored combat jousting or slay your hunger with tasty turkey legs. The Minnesota Renaissance Festival is back with new adventures. Get your tickets now at renaissancefest.com. Huzzah!
Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations, exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 55, then Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 78. Don't miss out on Zero Res's Labor Day sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $119 plus $75 off an air duct cleaning and a free hallway. Call 952-0RES today or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Sale ends Monday.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday evening as we are heading into the Labor Day weekend. I know it's still actually a lot of days away, but as far as I'm concerned, we're getting there very quick. I am going to be taking a little time off. We have a new show tomorrow, and then Thursday, Friday, Monday, I'll be off with a new show on Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm just going to be very honest about it. I also wanted to quickly say, before we get to our guest tonight, that we really had a real interesting program yesterday with talking with Scott Fuller regarding the Jodi Huisentruit disappearance. And I just want to let people know, because I've gotten actually a number of people responding to different things from that show still. Once again, if you have any tips, if you have any possible leads, let's get this case solved. Let's figure out what happened to her. Please make sure that you send all of your tips to findjodi.com. They are actually working with the Mason City Police Department. I kind of look at them as kind of being a vet. You know, they're vetting these tips and passing them along to law enforcement. It's still an ongoing active case. Would really appreciate everybody. If you have anything, please check it out. And if you want to listen to the episode, it's on Spotify. I had a couple people tell me that they missed it last night. It's on Spotify. It's also on YouTube. But now, as we get into tonight, we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, Bigfoot, and we're talking about, what is it that people are seeing, and a new book, literally, and I mean just literally, came out and I think it might have been even just Monday that this book came out, and it's called Bigfoot Sightings, True Tales from Across America, printed by Invisible Ink Publishing, and wanted to bring on One of the authors is authored by Jim Willis and Michael A Kozlowski. And I wanted to bring on Michael to talk about the book and also talk about some of his other works. I'm just going to say real fast, folks, this book, there is a lot of images in here. It's a very well laid out book, which if you listen to my shows when I talk to authors, is one of my favorite things. Is a really well laid out and wonderful book here. And we're going to be talking about it. And also we're going to just be talking about some experiences and stuff as well. And so, Michael, so nice to have you. Welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. Happy to be here.
Well, it's good to have you. I mean, it feels like forever because we've been talking about this for over a month now, having you come on. Yeah. And the book itself, Bigfoot Sightings, True Tales from Across America, did that come out Monday or did it come out last week?
It was the 12th, I think, was the release date.
That long ago?
2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. Yeah, not too long.
It's incredible, though, because August has just seemed like, for me, July took like 6 years to get through, which I'm fine with. But then August seemed to take a lot longer. I have my own Bigfoot here. She's more known as Big Tail, and she's just down here. My cat, she's just, it's as soon as the show starts. So if you hear meowing, it's not Bigfoot. It's a cat named Puff.
You're one of mine scratching on the door, and in my bio, I mentioned a gaggle of animals, so it will not be unusual to hear dogs at some point throughout this live recording.
All they want to do is they want to make sure that they are heard and they screw up whatever you're doing. That's kind of the way I see it, for sure. So let's first start off, Michael, by telling us what's this book about.
So it is a little bit of a misnomer, the title, Bigfoot stories from across, True Tales from Across America. And there are tales from across America, no doubt. But there's so much more to the book. We really delve into, some of the theories about, Bigfoot ancestry, a lot of the evidence. We do a lot of stories from Canada, really from all over the world. I think it's important not just to look at the evidence that exists now, to, kind of explore that, which certainly important and, what we're dealing with. But the more you know or can ascertain about a species background, I think helps to equip you, to understand maybe its motivations, its habits, inclinations, and kind of guide you in a direction, there's so much we don't know. The more we can know, the better our chances, right?
It's funny in a sense, because you're right. I mean, I feel like that when people think of Bigfoot, that they just see, they just take whatever it is at face value, and that there is so much more behind it than just that. Is that information hard to research?
I mean, yeah. yeah. And a short answer, yes. There's just so much of it, right? And there's so many competing theories. You really have to dig through. I'm reasonably new to the paranormal genre. Horror fiction guy, still am. But these books are kind of a journey for me with the reader in a lot of ways. I'm learning as I go. I learn things after the books. I may change opinions even after. I try not to influence the opinion too much. Just present facts as best as I can. But yeah, trying to dig through kind of the reasonable and the hogwash and the outlandish and put stuff in there that really makes sense. That really looks at it from a kind of scientific point of view. That's sort of where I approach the process.
How long have you? I mean, you said that you're relatively new in the paranormal field. How long has that been for you?
Yeah, like under a decade, and probably 5-6 years of real, involvement since I got my first book with Visible Ink. Was American Ghost Stories. And now I'm working on another book for them now, in a little bit broader book. Touch on later, but so fairly new for me. 5 years and a lot of time, especially to people that have dedicated their whole lives to it.
I mean, still, I mean, you got to start somewhere. You got to, and sometimes it's nice to get some fresh perspectives. I feel, in my humble opinion, that the genre is actually fairly stale at the moment. So it's always nice to get some new thoughts in it as well. Now, Michael, did you have any preconceived notions of, say, Bigfoot as an entity prior to starting the research that you might have changed your mind on now?
I'll say in all my research, my writings, I approach the genre as an optimistic skeptic. I want to believe, but you still have to convince me. I'm not. There's a lot of ways I lean believing, a lot of ways I don't. I want the proof, the real proof that I could show to anybody and they're going to believe it. Right. So that's my approach. I think I am more inclined to believe, one, in Bigfoot's existence, maybe than I was before I started the book. If I was on a 30%er sort of line, maybe I'm on a 60%er sort of line now.
Sure.
And my opinion of what Bigfoot is hasn't really changed. I still am in the same ballpark there where I started.
That it's interesting, and I don't know if you're like me. I've had a lot of people tell me that they had seen Bigfoot, that they've seen one of these, and I am a believer, but I find it hard to believe when people are just telling me stories. I mean, no matter how truthful that the story might be, and it's not against the people who are telling the story, but I am somebody who personally wants to see it. I think that is a way for me to believe it. I have seen, actually, I've seen a few, and I don't say this for you to be like, oh, I want to believe it, because honestly, if you're like me, it's not good enough for something like that just to go off of somebody else's word. I mean, not that they're lying, but you want to experience it yourself, I think.
Yeah, I think, big claims, extraordinary claims, we kind of require extraordinary evidence. I mean, these are things we, haven't seen before. I haven't seen. We're a seeing is believing sort of species as it is. And I don't discount anybody's stories, whether it's ghosts or aliens or Bigfoot. It's not my experience, and people I've talked to that have had those experiences are without a doubt truthful about what at least they believe they've seen.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of putting it too, because as much as you get a lot of people who have come to me about aliens, about Bigfoot, about spirits as well. And it really does come down to what is it that they think that they've seen. And, I feel like I'm kind of riding a line here when I talk about this, that I don't want to say that I don't believe them. But once again, the proof is in what you see with your own eyes. But I don't doubt that they believe that they've seen it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so I feel like that this is a that's what makes it interesting. Is there like any one story in this book, any one thing that makes you feel like a little bit more inclined to believe that this exists, that Bigfoot exists as a species somehow?
I don't know if there's one story about like a sighting necessarily that leads me more to believe or not believe. I think there's one about a group of campers that were out and saw a creature on the ridge. They got a good video, creature kind of approaching them. It's from a distance, it's a kind of what I'll call the typical Bigfoot footage. It's not very clear. It's not very, right. But the reports and the comments from those that were there and saw it, are very convincing, very interesting. I think more the research of the plausibility of Bigfoot's existence, whether it's a descendant of a giant ape, Gigantopithecus blackie, or descendant of a branch of hominin, Denisovans, or whatever the case may be. That research and some of the evidence for that, which is why I'm glad the book kind of really dives into that pretty extensively, is maybe more convincing than any of the actual current evidence for me. You know, the just
Yeah.
putting it as, that certainly makes sense that this is plausible. You know?
What do you think of such things as like the Patterson Gimlin film and stuff like that? Does that help you in any way, or is that, I mean, do you look at that as like fake, 100% fake?
I wouldn't say 100% fake, but I'm not a believer necessarily of the Patterson Gimlin film. Not so much from the film itself. I think there's some things that people point out, angles of the foot and how it walks and whatnot. There's some, there's people who say, "Oh, I can see muscles." To me, it looks like just different colors of the fur, rather than muscular movement. I don't think the film, is flat out, "Oh, I can see the zipper," right? It's,
Right,
like
exactly.
that. A lot of the information about Patterson that I didn't know previously, and some of what led up to him making that film, he's really out there to make a mockumentary sort of thing, right? That he was out there, making a film about a film, looking for Bigfoot, so that's like, well, the ending of that's got to be Bigfoot, right? Like there's gonna be a creature. It's got, and just, he kind of had a quest for fame in years previous, so some of that just casts a bit of doubt on the film itself and the process, more so than anything in the film.
It's so interesting because he has certainly come across as like a showman, right? I mean, very much. But it's also interesting that I've had on the program before MK Davis, who is kind of the keeper of all things Patterson Gimlin film, and he talks about, and I mean to get him back on to get into much more in depth, like there is so much more that we don't know about that had happened during that day, which I'm all about. I'd love to know more. There's like more sightings. There's more. They were all around. But at the same time, why haven't we seen any more? Why is that not more publicly, like more public record, I guess?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
The footprints that came out of that experience as well. We hear a lot about like 18-inch sort of range footprints. The footprints from the Patterson Gimlin, I think, were measured at like 13 and 15. They kind of found 2 sets and 1,000 tracks or whatever. And 13 and 15 is not that impressive. I got a buddy who wears a 14, so
I'd wear 14. Yeah.
That's a little lighthearted, but I would be interested to hear more about sightings or other creatures that maybe we're seeing at the same time.
It makes me sad that I'm classified as literally Bigfoot. I mean, it's just like I was born this way. So yeah, no, I totally get that. I actually haven't really thought about that. We are talking with we're talking with Michael A Kozlowski, and we're talking about his book that he co-authored with Jim Willis, Bigfoot Sightings, True Tales from Across America. It's available now, and we're going to be continuing our conversation here. And anybody who wants to ask a question, I see one in the comments now. Please please do so. We'll get to them. There's a lot to talk about. Probably not even for one full episode. We could get to much more. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. And if you're looking for something to do this holiday weekend, you definitely need to go out and check out the Minneapolis Trolley Tours. When we have those 60-second commercials, we're not even covering everything that they do there. And it is two people with a staff, John and Norman. They do a fantastic job. And they do the ghost tours, true crime tours. They have the Gilded Mansion tour. As we mentioned when I was covering for the Matt McNeil show, when we had John on, talking about how they had bought the Pillsbury Mansion, one of the Pillsbury Mansions, and I've been inside there with them. We're going to do an investigation on Facebook at some point soon, and everything that they do is wonderful, magical, and if you're looking for a real fun weekend activity, you do need to check that out. If you haven't done so, you definitely need to check it out. If you have done so, do it again. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of variety with everything that they offer. So go to MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com and sign up and get into a tour today. We are talking with Michael A. Kozlowski. He is the co-author on Bigfoot Sightings, True Tales from Across America. This is a fantastic book. I've been kind of dipping in and out of it in certain areas. I think it's fantastic. And I just want to say, too, real fast, that if you are looking to get this book, it's available all over the place. You can get it also off of Amazon. Don't forget, if you want to get it from a local bookstore, if they don't have it, they can order it for you. It's always worthwhile doing. Otherwise, I would be honored if you go to GhostBoxRadio.com/GhostBox Book Club. I have it up there as an Amazon affiliated link that directly helps the show. All of our authors that we've had on the show, I have their books up there. So if you're in the mood for something Bigfoot, spooky, UFO, whatever, check out the page. There's going to be something for you there. Michael, I want to ask a sort of a controversial question, and I want to preface this by saying that I'm not trying to bait you. I'm not trying to do anything that it's something that I believe in. It doesn't mean everyone else has to believe in it, but I want your opinion on it, especially seeing that you are looking at this from a very scientific sort of way. Have you ever considered that these entities that we are classifying as Bigfoot as being interdimensional?
So I'm aware of the theory. I'm aware of the theories, with that they have alien maybe affiliation somehow. I don't lean in that direction myself.
No, I kind of figured that.
I think the creature, assuming it exists, is an organic being. Is it possible? Sure. I just don't care to layer more stuff on top of it already. It's the mystery net wrapped inside of a riddle, and I don't know that I've seen, and again, I just may not have seen something that seemed plausible, any really good evidence to lead me in that direction. Most of that to me seems to come from an effort to answer questions that we don't have answers for. Like, why isn't there a body or something like that? More so than this happened, so I think it means that it's an interdimensional creature.
I see what you're getting at, and I certainly agree with you, especially like with the why isn't there a body? Because if there is a carcass in a forest, Mother Nature takes care of that itself, like the animals
Sure.
We'll take that out, I believe, and I've had other Bigfoot researchers kind of say the same thing too. And and also everything that I'm trying to kind of preface with this, I'm not trying to sway you to my side either, because I mean, we all have our journey, we all have our own way of getting to what we want. But at some point, we've talked about doing an investigation sometime. I think this is what we need to do. You need to come with us when we do our squatching, and that we're going to places that is not on a map that says this is a known place for a Bigfoot sighting. And then we bring forth, something that is not what you're expecting to see happen.
Okay.
That's something.
I'm absolutely game. I'm in it for the knowledge. I'd be happy to come on the show afterwards and say I changed my mind. That's all part of the process.
And that too is not what I'm trying to get at either. Not trying to be like, yeah, I was wrong. No.
No.
I just want you to, because here's the thing. I was thinking about this today, and I've said this before too. Even though I believe that these entities are interdimensional, who's to say that you can't have it both ways? Who's to say that there isn't because I never call them animals, but who's to say there isn't an animal species of that around somewhere as well? That I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem plausible, but I don't know.
Right.
And I like you, I don't want to start making assumptions either on anything.
Yeah. Like I said, I just haven't found the evidence or seen the evidence that convinces me to lean in that direction so far. Yeah. I
hope you get something one way or the other, because that is I'll tell you, and I'm going to keep this very short because this isn't about me. It's about you and your wonderful book. That I was in West Point, Kentucky, the first time I ever seen a Bigfoot, and it's at a Fort Duffield that is buddied up to Fort Knox, and there are 4 of us in line, and this creature comes walking out of the trees into this open area, and it's a full moon, and the moonlight's just shining down on this entity, and 4 of us at once, just we don't even say a word, we just point at it. And there is something about that. And then the next night we were in Indiana, and we went to a known place, and there was a lot of eye shine. I'm a big spirit box guy. That's why I GhostBox Radio.
Sure.
And we were getting responses that were in English. So was that spirit or was that one of them? I don't know.
Right.
But isn't that weird? Isn't that crazy? It's just a wonderful thing. So I mean, that's why I love talking about this, because there are many perspectives, and I refuse to look at my experiences as the only ones.
Sure.
That there's so much to it. I derailed your show, didn't I? I totally derailed you.
No. I just get some background noise that distracted me a little bit for a second. Sorry.
That's them. They're coming through.
Yeah, that's coming through in my sensory perception. It's interesting. I was just thinking about the spirit box thing, and that's very interesting. That maybe you would get communications from another, dimension outside of a spiritual realm. I hadn't really given that much thought as a tool, but it makes sense, right? It's just another realm or another dimension that you're communicating with. So.
Absolutely. I mean, we could go on for hours of the type of things that I have tried to use Spirit Box to communicate with, but we are talking tonight about Bigfoot sightings, true tales from across America. You co-wrote this book with Jim Willis, who sadly had passed away. How did you go about, each of you, tackling this book?
So, it was unusual, to say the least. I didn't know Jim well, mainly just through his writing. I'd probably, used his books for some research on my other stuff. He's pretty prolific, very just a wide range of topics. Very intelligent, very well-educated man. And he was working on this book. I was working on another book we're both writing for Visible Ink. And when he passed, he really wanted the book to be finished. His family wanted it to be completed. And my publisher called, asked me if I'd be interested, which, and then I, spoke with the family and everything, and honored and humbled to take it on. Sure. So it was an interesting experience to try to blend our voices. Part of the reason they asked me is because we do write in a similar fashion. We put a lot of ourselves into our books, a lot of our personal experiences, and it was just being able to make it sound like one voice, which I think we did a pretty good job of. Much of the book was copy paste. Jim had a good draft completed. Then some chapters were just a chapter title, so I knew where he was going. Kind of took my own spin with it, and in the end, I think it came out really well. And Visible Ink, as you said, did a great job putting it together. Kevin Heil, the editor over there, worked on my first book as well, and I give him a pile of papers and maybe a couple photos, and what he gives back to me is a whole different, entity. It's amazing.
And thanks for that clarification, because I just looking at this, I guess I thought that, I knew that he had passed, that you were still tandemly working on it together, but that's not the case at all.
Yeah, I'm giving away a little bit of the editorial process. I don't know if my publisher will yell at me or not, but but it's just the way it worked.
It's just the way it worked, and it's the end result. To me, the end result, all that matters is that you have that Jim Willis's family and state is happy with it. You're happy with it, and I think we are all going to be happy with this as well. It's just a fantastic book. Now, in the comments, I had a couple things here. Let's see here. Damien says, first reports of Sassy, is that what we call them these days, go back to 1811, long before any special effects. How do you feel on historical evidence?
I think in many cases, this historical evidence is, maybe stronger than some of the stuff we see today. It's getting harder and harder with AI and everything else to, kind of dig through the slop, and unfortunately there's a lot of hucksters and fraudsters out there that just want to make $1. But 1811, you're going back, you got Ape Canyon in the early 1900s. I mean, and then if you follow that path, sort of that migration backwards over to Asia, Africa, the Yeti, Yerwin, you're in China, the Yowie in Australia. I mean, I just so many accounts, especially in that kind of adventure era, when we were hanging on every word in the newspapers in the 1800s or so. I think there's a lot of great evidence, historical evidence, to suggest that even if some people believe maybe the Yetis died out now, even if that were the case, that, it was a creature that existed, even if it doesn't exist today.
It's interesting when you say die out, because I was talking with another author about this, how like just reports of a certain creature, whatever it is, that, you'd see reports in the 1800s in old newspapers, something that's lurking around somewhere, all of a sudden it stops. And I think that's what it is. It ends up that some of these creatures that we might think are like cryptids or something like that might just be animals that have maybe even birth defects or something else, and some that when they die, it's just they die. That's why we don't hear anymore about them, that they are gone now.
Right. Yeah, I think that's very possible. Or their habitat gets smaller, they move into smaller areas, or further away from humans into secluded areas. There's a number of times where sort of along the same lines of that creature's died out, and then 100 years later it's, oh, there's one. We thought it was gone, right? And if there's a minimal viable population theory that 50 to 500 creatures can support a population, enough genetic diversity, no defects, things like that. And I mean, let's take Sasquatch, 500 of them, even just over the Pacific Northwest, you're unlikely to bump into one.
Is the Earth dense enough still? I mean, because obviously with technology, it feels like obviously the Earth is much smaller than it used to be. Is the Earth still dense enough to hide, and let's not even say Bigfoot or whatever we want to call them, but just any kind of creatures that we have not classified yet? Do you think that we're dense enough to still be able to have these things hide on the Earth?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's enough space that, given that theory of population size, that there certainly could be, small pockets of creatures. Even we're still, discovering, human tribes that, haven't had any contact with us, in the Amazon forest and stuff. I don't think we, always recognize how vast those spaces are. We think, the Amazon forest, you look at a map and it's this, spot that's this big on the map. That's not so big, but, it's millions of acres, certainly areas that we haven't touched yet.
And if we go off of the number that you gave, like 500 as a minimum, they don't need that much space. Right. They don't need houses like we do. They do not need personal space. They're sleeping probably on top of each other. They don't need a whole lot. Yeah,
certain species, certainly. I tend to think Bigfoot probably is a pretty solitary species, in my opinion. But given any other species, they could be all in, an acre of property. I was just the other day looking at a little unrelated but applicable Venus flytraps. Because it came across, right? And they're only in like South Carolina or whatever, like on that coastal area, just very, very small area that they exist, but they've existed for, how long, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. I was going to say too, talking about personal space and stuff, when we were in Indiana doing our squatching, one of the persons there that was showing us around, Greg Yost, he took us to an area that had a tree structure.
Okay.
And it's pretty incredible. And I'll have to send you pictures of it.
I love it.
It's ridiculous. But then I just saw he posted this last week that the tree structure was destroyed. And he theorizes that they did it themselves. Which, I don't know. In your research, do you think does that sound plausible to you as like a way to try to keep keep people guessing, I guess, perhaps?
I think I think it would be plausible along that line, like, we've kind of been spotted, let's destroy the evidence sort of thing, right? And we don't need to put up flag posts for people to come find us.
Right, and that's kind of what it was. And he, once again, when I saw it, first of all, it's in a very far away area, but it's still fairly close to a road. And I always thought that he doesn't think that was for a place for them to live or rest or whatever else, but more of almost like a signpost that there are others around or something like that.
Gotcha.
Interesting stuff, right?
Some of the structures vary so much. Some definitely look purposeful, shelter like, or where others definitely give more of an impression of being symbolic, maybe.
Well, and the idea too of how the wood bends, it's being bent to and then basically tied together at the top.
Right.
It just really, it's if humans made this, they're really doing some amazing work to.
And that's the thing about a lot of the potential fraud, is that it would be so much effort to pull it off. And sure, maybe one or two or whatever, but given the amount of evidence and structures and footprints and the circumstantial stuff that we have, that's a lot of dedication to a hoax.
It really is, especially for something that's nowhere near, it's really out of the way for people. Why don't we go ahead and do this? I want to take my next break here. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this fantastic book. Any questions on your mind? Maybe get into a little bit of Michael's other works, as well as we keep talking about Bigfoot. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We are going to have on Todd Bates. Todd has started this sort of movement called EVP Explorations. Obviously, EVP is all about voice phenomenon, all that sort of thing. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to play some of his recordings. But tomorrow, I'm going to play a recording. Last Friday, we did a live show from the Swenson family farm in Grand Falls, Minnesota. And if you remember, Adam thought that he heard someone say oak when we talked about how well built the house that we were in, how well built it was. He heard the word oak. He went back, he listened to it. That indeed went over the air. We got an EVP during the broadcast that night, and I will play that for you tomorrow as well, along with all of Todd's wonderful EVPs as well. It's going to be a great program. Always love just talking about paranormal. I have with me tonight author Michael A. Kozlowski talking about Bigfoot sightings, true tales from across America. And Michael, I'm going to be honest, I just randomly open up this book, and something I did not expect to see is a picture of Vladimir Putin, and it says he is claimed that he has personally seen 3 Yetis.
Yes, he was flying over an area of Siberia in a helicopter. Claimed to have seen 3, a family unit, a smaller or what looked like a family unit under the flight path. And of course, he had lots of backup. Everybody that was with him said it was true. So nobody would doubt Vladimir's word.
Not if they know what's good for them.
Exactly. Fall out of a tall building. It's to that end, though, somebody with that sort of fame, that sort of presence to make a claim, I think, if nothing else, whether you believe it, regardless of your opinions of Russia, gives some credence to other people, because if you do see these things, and I have, close family members who've had experiences, friends, you don't want to talk about it a lot of times, right? Because you understand you're probably going to get side eye from most people. You know, they're going to call you crazy or whatever. You know, so a lot of people keep these things secret. You know.
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say. It's like I almost feel like that's probably some of the best endorsement for its existence.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you don't, I mean, any leader, I think, or anyone of power, they don't want to lose face by indulging into something that most people consider to be, you know, crackpot and you know,
Sure.
without basis. I mean, it's a pseudoscience.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right.
Remember how much Nancy Reagan got grief for you know, her astrology stuff and whatnot, right, back in the 80s.
Totally. And Jimmy Carter, he you know, he talked about his UFO experiences.
Yeah.
And, you know, that we didn't know about Abraham Lincoln having a medium that was helping him make key decisions during the Civil War. You know, you just didn't want that out, especially, you know, back then in the spiritualist movement. Very interesting stuff. That's kind of cool. What else is in this book? Like, if you could give me like one piece of this book that you just really gravitate towards, or that you enjoyed researching, or you enjoyed what Jim had written, I'd love to know what that is.
I mean, I love the prefaces, you know, of Jim's experience in the woods that kind of led him down the path. You know, it's not an outright, this is what I saw. Jim definitely, between the two of us, I know the book's advertised as sort of a believer and a skeptic writing it. And Jim, you know, if you're going to draw lines, Jim would be the believer, I'd be the skeptic, but we both are, you know, very much, it's much more blurred than that. But that's just an excellent personal story. For me, I really like the history, going back into the Denisovans and Neanderthals and the migration pattern of humans and, you know, fossil records that were found. And, you know, well, we moved here 100,000 years ago. And then we find, oh, wait a minute, you know, these predate when we should be here. You know, what are these from? And, you know, that sort of stuff, just that drives my belief more than anything else.
Yeah, I could see that. I can understand that. And that's like we had talked about a little bit earlier. I think that's something that is really nice about this book that I think can be missed, because we do get kind of, we as a, you know, a Bigfoot consuming society, if you will, we get kind of sidestepped by just wanting to know about what did they look like, what did they smell like, where were they, that sort of thing, where it's like, well, here's, you know, this is the DNA of them, literally.
Yeah. Also, there's a chapter that I condense a lot of information about the four horsemen of the Sasquatchery, right? Krantz and Byrne and you know, I think for me, that was a fun chapter to write. You know, they're such interesting characters, and all have kind of their own specialty. You know, I like to think Hinden was the passion, you know, that drove it. And, you know, we have the adventurer in Byrne, you know, the Indiana Jones kind of guy. And that's a fun chapter for me. And I think, you know, most readers will probably be familiar with them if they're, you know, Sasquatch people. But if not, I think you read that and you'll go searching for some more information about those guys for sure.
Now, I think it's worth pointing out before I forget here that Visible Ink was kind enough to send us a number of these books, and that not tonight, but when I have my support team with me, because I do the show with Adam on Wednesdays and Fridays, and maybe through my newsletter, maybe through my Facebook. We're going to be giving away copies of this book, and that Michael has given me the okay to sign it on his behalf. No, he didn't say that.
Absolutely.
What? When did we agree on that?
Those will be more valuable than the ones I actually signed. Bootleg copies.
Sure. No, but we're going to be doing that. So keep your ears on the program, because we'd love to get these in the hands of some people. And we'd also love it if some of our listeners would go and get the book. If you can do it through Amazon or order through your local bookstore, or use GhostBox Radio, GhostBox book club, if you can even say it. I don't know how you're going to get to it if I can't even say it, but we'd love to get people to have a chance to see this. This is a really, really this is a great book. Now, have you been out squatching yourself?
Not as much as I want to. So I'm interested in taking you up on your offer for sure, if I can make that work. But I have gone out in areas where, Bigfoot sightings have happened. I haven't got up to the Pacific Northwest, the Holy Grail. I'll get there sooner or later. Done some searching Northern Ohio or Southern Ohio, Northern Kentucky area, Hocking Hills area. Nothing where I've been out in the woods howling and knocking and, putting, the effort it probably deserves. More of a, I'm here, let's see if I happen to, run into something. But also I find that people who go looking for Bigfoot, including our four horsemen, very rarely find, right? Like all four of them would have said, they never saw a Bigfoot in person. Tends to be, out of the blue, you just happen to be in the right place at the right time. I kind of question if going out there howling or knocking or making some sounds of a language that we don't understand, it makes sense. I can imagine myself in the middle of China screaming out words that I think sound Chinese, and either getting in trouble or just being some crazy gibberish guy, in the middle of the street that nobody's going to get near. I'm certainly not going to draw people to me.
I think it's a really good point. I think that's very valid too. And I was also thinking about, because, so many people, they get their learning about these entities through like watching television. And there are some shows that are always kind of fun to watch. You don't know what you're gonna, finding Bigfoot, stuff like that. But I just have you ever watched Mountain Monsters?
I'm not sure if I've seen that one.
You would remember it. You would remember this one. This is a show about and I'm not being derogatory when I say this, a show about hillbillies who they go out looking for different Bigfoots and stuff. And one of them you can't even understand, and that's the purpose. That's the whole shtick, right?
Yeah.
And they find one every single episode.
Okay.
But it's like, it's like they catch it on camera, but you only get like part of an arm or an elbow or something like that. And I think I'm not going out on a limb here when I say it's not real. But it's one of those things though that, you got to wonder, how many people are believing this. And this is what, because it's one of those programs every week they come up with this really ridiculous trap for
right. Okay. I definitely haven't seen this, but I'm gonna fix
you do have to check it out because it's something, it's something you gotta check out and don't write your next books based on these as well on that program. Very interesting. This is a good book. I'm really glad that you finished it for Jim and that you finished for yourself. What else have you written?
So my other book from Visible Ink is American Ghost Stories.
Nice.
Over here, American Ghost Stories.
Okay.
A little glare there. True tales from all 50 states. So it's a ghost story from each of the 50 states. Some that would be popular that people would know and just a little more information on them. Some that are very local. Nobody would have heard of them except the person that was telling me the story, kind of thing. Just the ones that were most interesting. I also write horror fiction. So I have a collection of short stories called Some Days Suck, Some Days Suck Worse. That's a fun one. Most of those were published in various magazines or whatever, little collection there. And I have a series, the John Angel series. There's 2 books in that series, Fallen Angel and Angel of Death. That is sort of a Jason Bourne in a zombie apocalypse sort of thriller spy zombie mashup thing. It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
Got a lot of humor in it, but also very thrilling, I think.
Now, do you have a website that people can keep track of what you're doing?
I absolutely do. It's www.mikekozlowski.com. So pretty easy, Mike Kozlowski.
Yep.
You can find links to all the books there. You can purchase books there. You can follow the links to the other sites. You can get signed copies, all that good stuff. You can sign up for the newsletter. I don't spam people because I'm a terrible newsletter writer. A little bit lazy with it, but at least you won't get spammed every week.
Right, exactly. Now, what I'd like to do, if you're open to it, I'd like to have you back on for each one of the things you brought up and talk about them separately at some point and really give them their due, if you're fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah.
I think it's, and we say this, we bring on a good deal of like local authors and stuff on the program, and it's just like you really have to support what you're all doing, because it's not easy, and no one's getting rich, but you're doing what you love.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a labor of love. It's a lonely job. You spend a lot of time by yourself, writing these things down, and then you put it out there and hope people like it. Yeah,
and that's all you can do. We have about just a few seconds left. Are you working on anything right now that you can talk about, or are you if you're just working on something?
Yeah, right now working on another one for Visible Ink. It's more of a general unexplained, so it'll cover ghosts and cryptids and UFOs and a little bit of everything, and most likely lead to another bigger book, maybe a more extensive one on aliens or whatever. We'll see what strikes my fancy at the end of that.
Oh, we're going to want to have you on for that, I guarantee. When's that going to come out, do you think?
Should be around the end of next year. About this time next year is kind of what we're aiming for. So
we have to try to keep the show going long enough to have you back on again. We'll see what we could do. The book is called Bigfoot Sightings, True Tales from Across America, co-authored Michael A Kozlowski. Please support the book. You can get it on Amazon. Go to his site, MikeKozlowski.com, and enjoy. Mike, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Hey, Greg, thanks for having me.
We'll be back tomorrow with Todd Bates. Everyone, have a good night.